Hey, welcome to the Movement Clinic. My name is Emily, and today we are breaking down Warrior 3 for you. So Warrior 3 is in the Warrior 1 series of poses or family of poses. Go figure. But really because of the orientation of our hips as they square or move towards squaring to the top of the mat. So if you haven't checked out the Warrior 1 tutorial yet, or maybe even pyramid pose, I would highly suggest that you hit pause and check out one or both of those so that you have a little bit more of an understanding of where we're going and just more of that foundational knowledge. But if not, let's get started with Warrior 3. Okay, so as you can see here, I have a couple of blocks that I've brought with me. You can choose to use blocks or not to use blocks. It's really there to help you if you need the help. So hit pause if you need to go find something that is sort of like this, a stack of books or a couple stacks of books, or if you have yoga blocks, great. And then come back to us. We're gonna get started standing up. So one of the things that I want to point out first about standing poses where we're standing on one leg or the other is very much this tendency to sag into the hip of the standing leg, which really throws off our stability, right? As you can see, my hip is outside of the line of my knee and ankle, and it makes it really hard to find balance when our bones aren't stacked. So go ahead and if you aren't standing already, join me. Stand with both feet, pop up your left heel and sag into the right hip, kind of like you probably stand when you're talking to people, right? And then place your fingers on that outer right hip and press in and hug it in to bring the hip in line with the knee and the ankle, and then sag it out. And hug it in and sag it out and hug it in. Good. This is what we want when we're coming into a standing pose. Now let's try it with the left hip. So stick it out, finger on that outer left hip, hug it in, sag it out, hug it in, sink into the hip and hug it in. Good. So with our Warrior 3, our hips, because we're in that Warrior 1 series of family, or series of poses or family of poses, our hips are squaring to the short edge or the front edge of our mat. Also, if you want to get started in sort of this like left leg forward, right leg back, sort of pseudo lungy, not really anything thing, I want to point out a couple of things with Warrior 3. So, just as in Warrior 1, or in the rest of the series of poses, with our hips squaring to the front of the mat, the front leg is going to be finding external rotation. And then we hug that outer hip in, just like we were practicing. The back leg is going to be internally rotating. So we're still rolling both thighs to the left or in the direction of the front leg. And as you see me doing that, you can see that my pelvis is moving too, right? We want the pelvis to remain level in space, just like we did in our pyramid pose where we put our hand on our low back to make sure that one hip wasn't popping up and back or forward and down. Same idea here. So go ahead and place your hands on your blocks if you have them, maybe on your hips. We're gonna find sort of a short Warrior 3, or not so tall or not so effortful. So go ahead and float the back heel up. Press out through your inner heel. Externally rotate that standing leg. Internally rotate the lifted right leg. So lift your inner right thigh. All 5 toes are pointing straight down. Hug in that outer left hip and really find this squaring motion of the hip. Standing leg can stay bent. If you would like, you might bring the heel in line with the hip, in line with the shoulders, in line with the ears. So a warrior three could just be up here as you get used to it. As you begin to hinge at the hips and find more of this T shape, it may be with a bent knee and hands down. It may be that you're able to find a fuller variation where maybe fingers reach behind you and more of this airplane variation, palms at heart center, or arms reaching overhead. Whew, that's a lot of work on that standing leg. Go ahead and shake it out as we try with the right foot. So again, coming in here in this sort of pseudo lunge, right foot forward, left foot back. I'm up on the ball of the left foot. I want to break down the upper body real quick. So one of the tricks with having this sort of big lever and not dumping all of the weight into the standing leg's hip is if you have this essence of lifting the front of the body into the back of the body. So muscles underneath the belly button are drawing up and in. We absorb the low ribs. And you hear this a lot in my classes. We lengthen the front and back of the heart forward. So we're finding sort of like that skewered feeling through our spine, that actively lengthening in opposite directions. We want to have that feeling here through the back heel and the crown of the head. So let's give it a go. Right leg forward, left foot back. Soft bend in the standing leg to start. Externally rotate the front hip, or maybe just start to roll the tops of both thighs to the right, and you'll find the proper rotation of both legs. Internally rotate the back leg, externally rotate the front. Keep that. Lift the low belly, absorb the low ribs, lengthen front and the back of the heart through the crown of the head. Keep that. Maybe bring palms to heart center. Begin to lean forward with the shoulders, press down into the standing foot, float the back leg any amount. Press out through the heel, strong lifted leg, strong foot. No sort of like dead hanging limbs. Those will throw you off balance. Strong. And then simply begin to hinge at the hips, tilt forward any amount, back in front of the heart or lengthening. We're finding that lift of the front of the body into the back of the body. Woo! To find a little bit more lightness in that standing leg. And then again, variation with the arms. You can reach back. Arms reaching forward is pretty tough, but choose what you need. And then come on out after a couple of breaths. All right, so that is Warrior 3. If you have any questions or any comments, feel free to drop a line in the comments below. If you have any requests, I'm all ears. Feel free to send them on through. My name is Emily, and I look forward to seeing you at the Movement Clinic next time.